Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 17. Pranena Kshipata Shutraddha Antarajayati Vibhu Papasato Jaksatascha Pranmukham Nirabhidyata.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The living force being agitated by the Virat Purush generated hunger and thirst, and when he desired to drink and eat, the mouth opened.
Text 18. Mukhatastalu nirbhinam jiva tatropajayate tato nanaraso jagne jivayayo digamyate.
Text 18. From the mouth the palate became manifested, and thereupon the tongue was also generated. After these, all the different tastes came into existence so that the tongue can relish them.
Text 19. Vivakshor mukhato bhumno vahanir vagvyaratam tayoho jale chaitasya suchiram nirodha samajayata.
Text 19. When the Supreme desired to speak, speeches were vibrated from the mouth. Then the controlling deity fire was generated from the mouth. But when he was lying in the water, all these functions remained suspended.
Text 20. Nasike nirabhyadyatam dudoyati nibhasvati tatra vayurgandhavaho grano nasi jigharkashataha.
Text 20. Thereafter, when the Supreme Purusha desired to smell odors, the nostrils and respiration were generated, the needful instrument and odors came into existence, and the controlling deity of air carrying smell also became manifested.
Text 21. Yadatmani niralokam atmanam chadidirkshattaha nirbhinehi akshini tasya jyotischakshurgunagraha.
Text 21. Thus, when everything existed in darkness, the Lord desired to see himself and all that was created. Then the eyes, the illuminated God's Son, the power of vision, and the object of sight all became manifested.
Text 22. Buddhya manasya rishibhir atmanastajjigarkashattaha karnau cha nirabhidyatam dishaha srotram gunagraha.
Text 22. By development of the desire of the great sages to know, the ears, the power of hearing, the controlling deity of hearing, and the object of hearing become manifested. The great sages desire to hear about the self.
Text 23. Vastuno mridhu kathinya lago gurva oshnas sitatam jigarkaksatasvan nirbhinna tasyam roma mahiruhaha tatra chantar bahirvatas vachalabdha gunovrattaha.
Text 23. When there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, and heaviness, and the background of the sensation, The skin pores, and the hair on the body, and their controlling desires were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which senses perception become prominent.
Text 24. Hastaururuhatustasya nana chitrasya tayostu balavanindra adanam ubhayasrayam.
Text 24. Thereafter, when the Supreme Person desired to perform variety of work, the two hands and their controlling strength and Indra, the demigod in heaven, become manifested, as also the acts depend on both the hands and the demigod.
Text 25. Gatim jik. Mataji, could you scroll up, please? Thank you. Gatim jigishattah padau ruruhatte bikammikam padyam jijnaha swayam havyam karmabihi kriyate nirbihi.
Text 25. Thereupon, because of his desiring to control movement, his legs become manifested, and from the legs the controlling deity named Vishnu was generated. By his personal supervision of this act, all variety of human beings are busily engaged in dutiful occupational sacrifice.
Text 26. Niravidyata shishno vai prajanandam ratarthinaha upastha asit kamamam priyam tad ubhayasrayam.
Text 26. Thereupon, for sexual pleasure, begetting offspring, and the tasting heavenly nectar, the Lord developed the genitals, and thus there is the genital organ and its controlling deity, the Prajapati. The object of sexual pleasure and the controlling deity are under the control of the genital of the Lord.
Text 27. Utsiskrixordhatu malam nirabidyata vaigudam tatha payustato mitra utsarga ubhayasrayaha.
Text 27. Thereafter, when he desired to evacuate the refuse of the eatable, evacuating the hose anus and the sensory organ thereof developed along with the controlling deity Mitra. The sensory organ and the evacuating substance are both under the shelter of the controlling deity.
Text 28. Asisrapso purah purya nabhidvaram apanattaha tatrapanastato mrityuhu prathaktavam ubhayasrayam.
Text 28. Thereafter, when he desired to move from one body to another, the navel and the air of departure and death were combinedly created. The navel is a shelter for both, namely death and the separating force.
Text 29. Aditsoranapananam asan kukshi antranadayaha nadhyanamudrascha tayos tustihi pustis tad asraye.
Text 29. When there was a desire to have food and drink, the abdomen and the intestines and also the arteries became manifested. The rivers and the seas are the source of their substance and metabolism.
Text 30. Nididhyasur atma mayam hridayam niravidyata tato manaschandrat iti sankalpah kama evacha.
Text 30. When there was a desire to think about activities of his own energy, then the heart, the seat of the mind, the moon, determination, and all desire become manifested.
Text 31. Tvakcharma mama saruddhira medhomajjasthi dhatvataha bhumyapi tejo mahasapta prano vyomambu vayobhihi.
Text 31. The 7 elements of the body, namely the thin layer on the skin itself, and the flesh, blood, fat, marrow, and bone, are all made of earth, water, fire, whereas the life breath is produced by the sky, water, and air.
Text 32. Gunatmakanindriyani bhutadi prabhava gunaha manah sarva vikaratma buddhir vijnana rupini.
Text 32. The sense organs are attached to the modes of material nature, and the modes of material nature are products of the false ego. The mind is subjected to all kinds of material experiences, happiness and distress, and the intelligence is a feature of the mind's deliberation.
Text 33. Etad bhagavato rupam sthulam te vyahratam maya mahi adibhischa varnayer astabhir bahir avratam.
Text 33. Thus, by all these, the external feature of the personality Godhead is covered by gross forms such as those of planets, which were explained to you by me.
Text 34. Ataha param suksmatamam avyaktam nirvisheshanam anadimadya nidhanam nityaman manasaha param.
Text 34. Therefore, beyond the gross manifestation is a transcendental manifestation, finer than the finest form. It has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. Therefore, it is beyond the limits of expressions or mental speculation and is distinct from the material conception.
Text 35. Amuni bhagavat rupe maya tehi anuvarnite ubhe api na grananti maya sriste vipaschitaha.
Text 35. Neither of above forms of the Lord, as just described unto you from the material angle of the vision, is accepted by the pure devotee of the Lord who know him well.
Text 36. Savachya vachakattaya Bhagavan Brahma Rupadrak Nama Rupa Kriya Dhate Sakarma Karmaktaha Paraha.
Text 36. He, the personality of Godhead, manifests himself in a transcendental form, being the subject of his transcendental name, quality, pastime, entourage, and transcendental, how do you pronounce this? Variegatedness. Although he is unaffected by all such activities, he appears to be so engaged.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Please forgive
Krishna.
me for my
Apology.
mistakes. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So has Prabhuji joined? Jyoti Mataji?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my
Krishna
humble
Mataji.
obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Sriji Kishore Mataji, for reciting the Sanskrit, and Leena Mataji for reciting the English as well. How is everyone?
Yeah, we all good.
Oh,
Good,
good.
thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you.
I hope many of you had the opportunity to see Narendra Prabhu It's been giving class for the last 3 days on the Lord of Raja, a beautiful katha. The first katha was on Friday. It was talking about the glories of the cows. Second day, which was yesterday, Saturday, talking about the glories of the birds in Raja. And today was discussing the different topics from River Yamuna Devi and also the topics of Radha and Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So please say some humble obeisances. Vanchika Patarubhisha, Kripa Sindhibhevacha, Patitana Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I'll just share the screen for everybody. Okay, just wanted to check you can see that. Okay. Yes. Can you see the screen?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhuji, we can see it.
Okay, thank you, Jyotiben. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's Canto 2, Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 10. The Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. We all have questions, don't we? But sometimes it's not always possible to find the right answers as well. And the verses that we're reading is verse 30, 31, 32, and 33. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narotanam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Narsashu Bhadreshu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Mutam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So there's 4 verses to read all together. So with your permission, I'm going to start. Verse 30. Nidhiya yasotma mayam hidayam nirabityata tato manas chandra iti shankalpa kama ivacha. I jump to the translation. When there was a desire to think about the activities of his own energy, then the heart, the seat of the mind, the moon, determination, and all desire became manifested. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The heart of every living entity is the seat of the Supersoul, Paramatma, plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without His presence, the living entity cannot get into the working energy according to his past deeds. The living entities who are conditioned in the material world are manifested in the creation in terms of respective inclinations inherent in them, and the requisite material body is offered to each and every one of them by the material energy under the direction of the Supersoul. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 10. And therefore, the Supersoul is situated in the heart of the conditioned soul. The requisite mind is manifested in the conditioned soul and becomes conscious of its occupation as one is conscious of his duty after waking up from slumber. Therefore, the material mind of the living entity develops when the Supersoul sits on his heart, after which the mind, the controlling deity, moon, and then the activities of the mind, namely thinking, feeling, and willing, will take place. The activities of the mind cannot begin without the manifestation of the heart, and the heart becomes manifested when the Lord wants to see the activities of the material creation. So recite the invocation prayers. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurmalitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sargana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakamatamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Satya Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtai Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you everyone for joining in today. I've been away for a couple of weeks, so you probably haven't seen me for a little while, which is probably good news for some of you. First of all, I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances to Jagat Guru, its co-founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, and to my spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Swami, and to all the senior devotees, Vaishnavas, and all the listeners here. Please allow me to say wonderful glories and topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So somebody may ask, what it is that allows you to have certain desires in one's life? What is it that makes you choose between something you want to do and something you don't want to do? What is it that actually allows you to pursue in your endeavors, in your day-to-day activities? So here it actually explains, although we have the mind, which actually discusses within our head what sort of activities we'd like to do, but the actual desire comes from within the heart. So via the intelligence situated within the heart actually tells you what we should do and what not to do. But at the same time, within the desires, the heart may tell you certain positive things to do, but the mind, because it's contaminated by false ego, by the six enemies, anger, lust, greed, mind, anger, lust, greed, envy, illusion, pride, it decides to do certain things which are not necessarily the desire from the heart. When the supersoul is situated within the heart, then the activities of the action of the body takes fruitive activities takes place. So here in the last sentence, Prabhupada really explains it nicely. Therefore, the material mind of the living entity develops when the supersoul sits in this heart, after which the mind, controlling deity, the moon, and then the activities of the mind, namely thinking. We always have thoughts in our mind, even if we try and stop it, but our mind is always constantly thinking and thinking and thinking, thousands of thoughts every minute. We like to feel, we like to have certain emotions in our life, happiness, sadness, we all feel those experiences, although the mind is experiencing that, but the actual feeling, thinking, feeling, and willing is actually taken from within the heart, only due to the supersoul seated in the heart itself. So the activities of the mind cannot begin without the manifestation of the heart. The heart becomes manifested when the Lord wants to see the activities of the material creation. So we understand the Lord is situated within our heart. And we can understand that although he's recognized as Paramatma, which is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So within Lord Krishna expands himself into Mahavishnu, which is Karandaksha Vishnu, then expands again to Garbhadaksha Vishnu, is seated on the Sheshananta, on the ocean of the Garbha, and there's millions and millions of universes, and each universe has this particular Garbhadaksha Vishnu. Then he expands again into Sharadaksha Vishnu. Sometimes it's actually stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the Sharadaksha Vishnu is also the plenary and subplenary expansions of the Supreme Lord, or Shakti Aveshavatars. But that Sharadaksha Vishnu is also recognized as the Paramatma, situated in every living entity situated within our heart. So unless the living entity or the super soul is seated within the heart of every living entity, there is no question of the living entity making any endeavors, making any thoughts of thinking, feeling, and willing. That can only take place when the Paramatma is situated within the heart. But within the mind is always troubled. There's so many things. It's just like muddy water. Even though we try and allow it to stay still so the mud rests, somehow or another it gets stirred again and again, and all the unwanted thoughts in the mind come again. So this is something which Arjuna tells Krishna, when Krishna tells him to control the mind. But what does Arjuna say? For the mind is restless, turbulent, and obstinate, O Krishna. To control the mind is more difficult than controlling. It's easier to control the wind than controlling the mind. If you can see the wind, it's traveling in every sort of direction at different gale forces. Sometimes it's prevalent, sometimes it's very subtle. But yet the rishis of those days and the kshatriyas were able to control the flow of the wind. But to control the mind is so difficult. Now, what does Krishna say? How to control the mind? Does anybody know? Any particular verse from the Bhagavad Gita? Okay, I'll explain that in the next verse. But first of all, I'm just going to show you verse number 9 and 10. Does anybody know what verse, chapter 9, verse 10 is? The Bhagavad Gita, the translation? Okay. There's material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So this material nature is only a fragmental part of Krishna's energy. Even in one of the verses, when it describes about the universal form of the Lord, it says even if hundreds and thousands of suns were to rise in the sky simultaneously, that may resemble the effulgence of that Supreme Person. That Supreme Person they're referring to is the universal form. The universal form is so insignificant compared to the absolute truth. And yet the material nature is even more insignificant than that supreme, what was it? The universal form of Krishna. Sorry, that's my thought of. Okay, I'm just going to go to the next verse now. I think some people are still on mute. If I could mute you to avoid any disturbances. Okay, the next verse. Verse 31. Tvakchama mamsa rudira medo majasti tatava bhumi tejo maya shapta prana vayambo vayubi. Translation. The 7 elements of the body, namely the thin layer and the skin itself, the flesh, blood, fat, marrow, and bone, are all made of earth, water, and fire, whereas a life breath is produced by the sky, water, and air. Purport: the construction of the whole material world is prominently made by 3 elements, namely earth, water, and fire. But the living force is produced by sky, air, and water. So water is a common element in both the gross, subtle forms of the material creation. It should be noted herewith that due to necessity, water being most prominent in the material creation, is the principal element of all the 5. This material body is thus an embodiment of the 5 elements, and the gross manifestation is perceived because of 3, namely earth, water, and fire. Sensations of touch are perceived due to the thin layer of the skin, and bone is as good as a hard stone. The breathing air of life is produced of sky, air, and water, and therefore open air, regular bath, and ample space in which to live are favorable for healthy vitality. Fresh produce from the earth like grains and vegetables, as well as fresh water and heat, is good for the upkeep of the gross body. So I assume this purport is quite self-explanatory. but it does explain about the importance of the water, which is the prime principle of all the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Now, if you are in the class given by Amendra Prabhu, he mentions about the flow of the rivers and the ocean. The river is considered to be like the wife, and the ocean is considered to be like the husband. The ocean provides everything, all the necessities one needs. And even when you read the Bhagavatam or the Mahabharata, it also mentions that when a particular saint or kshatriya are traveling, they come to a particular holy lake, a holy river, a holy kund, and they actually want to taste the water from that particular holy river to purify themselves. They normally touch the water. Even when Arjuna, before he actually shoots his arrow, he finds a sanctified place where water is kept, touches the water, and then allows himself to be purified. So water has a very, very important spiritual element to it. Now, we've probably asked this question before. Does anybody know the names of the 9, or is it 7 holy rivers? There's a particular verse that explains that. Anybody?
Names of the, sorry, Prabhuji, is the names of the 7 rivers?
Yes. Do you know them, Mataji?
Ganga, Yamuna,
Yes.
Saraswati, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati,
Yeah.
Mandankini.
It's not actually one of the names listed on the 7 prominent rivers.
Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati.
So the verse is Ganga, Jamuna, Jeva, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri, Chale. So those are the 7 holiest rivers. And today there was a little debate to say which is the holiest river, the Ganges or the Yamuna?
Ganges.
Anybody else?
Which is the other
Yamuna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Anyone else? So after 2 rivers, the Ganges, which flow from the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu and falls onto the material world on top of the head of Lord Shiva to control the fierce force of the Ganges and allows it to be distributed into the holy land of India. So it mentions that although the water just touches the lotus feet of Vishnu just once, but Yamuna is considered to be even more sacred. And the reason being is because the river Yamuna, when Lord Krishna performed his pastimes in Vrindavan, used to bathe in the river Yamuna every single day. So the river Yamuna had the blessings of Lord Krishna's lotus feet touching the holy water. That's why they say that the river Yamuna is considered to be even more sacred than the holy Ganges. And there was a debate that Amendra Prabhu was discussing today. So I hope you don't mind if I mention this if you had been to the class already. There was a debate between different great spiritual leaders during the time of Akbar the Great to determine which was the greatest river, the river Yamuna or the Ganges. And everybody came up with different ideas or different thoughts of why the river Ganga was the most prominent river, the holiest river. Others mentioned river Yamuna. So Akbar was still not quite satisfied with the answer. So then at that time, Jiva Goswami, who's the nephew of Rupa Sanatana Goswami, was there, very, very close ally, I suppose, advisor to King Akbar. So King Akbar actually asked Jiva Goswami, who is the holiest river? Is it the river Ganges or is it the river Yamuna? So the Jiva Goswami recited 100 particular verses from the Shastras to show evidence that the river Yamuna is considered to be more sacred than the river Ganges. So I thought I'd just share that with you. The last sentence I thought to also share with you: fresh produce from the earth like grains and vegetables, as well as fresh water and heat, is good for the upkeep of the gross body. So from the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, it mentions that the grains are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna. Yajna is born of prescribed duty. What is that prescribed duty? The yajna. And this age of Kali is chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is considered to be yajna. So once again, it was mentioned that we tend to be very keen on performing great yajnas, offering rice, offering grains, offering ghee, offering butter, offering the bananas to the tongue of Lord Vishnu in the form of the fire. And the yajna with the purification, with the recitation of the verses performed by the Brahmins, it looks very, very pleasing to the eye, very, very conducive to the heart as well, hearing the holy mantras. But it's certainly said that that is very great, but even just by chanting and reading the holy names of the Lord is considered to be even better than just performing yajna. Because in this day and age of Kali, everything has to be performed correctly. The brahmanas have to be pure. All the items offered to the yajna considered to be of first-class quality. The recitation has to be right. If you pronounce particular verses, the syllables wrong, it has a different meaning, like the word karma to vikarma, dharma to adharma. If you say the wrong words, then it has the opposite effect. So it's important to understand, and he mentioned about Prabhuji, Amendra Prabhuji mentioned about when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not just necessarily just reading it and reciting it. You know, it's not just a form of some sort of fable story that we read or novel that we read to understand about the pastimes of Krishna or the demigods that it glorifies in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But it's actually the important thing is following the principles of what Srimad Bhagavatam is actually telling you. Just like when we have certain difficulties in our life, who do we pray to? We pray to Krishna. Just like Lord Prahlad Maharaj, when there was a difficult situation, he just completely surrendered himself to Krishna. But for most of us, we have that difficulties, being completely surrendered, completely detached, being completely focused on the Supreme Lord that He may look after us, because many of us have gone through difficulties in our lifetimes, ups and downs. And when we cry for Krishna, as it mentions, Prabhupada mentions that when we chant the holy name of Krishna, we should be chanting just like a child crying for a mother, or mother, desperately wanting to find where the child is. But when we do cry for Krishna, sometimes we feel that Krishna doesn't come at all. He, ignores the situation that we're all facing. But sometimes we have to remember Krishna is in the heart of every living entity. We don't really have any necessary rights that Krishna will come and save you. Krishna will come, certainly in whatever capacity that we sort of surrender unto Krishna. It's not just the fact that, oh, we're having a problem, let me pray to Krishna. Just like the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, there's 4 types of pious people come to me: those who are in distress, those who desire wealth, some sort of fame, some sort of recognition, some sort of material objectives. Those who are just very inquisitive, they see the world around us, how beautiful it is, who created this particular world. They want to find out a little bit more about Krishna or God. And those who are searching for the absolute truth, they have some elements of both the this distress, the desire for some earth, the inquisitive side in them, but they want to find out more about the absolute truth. But beyond that, as somebody who's completely surrendered, they know who the Supreme Lord is. They're trying their best to reach the Supreme Lord by following, by doing seva, nitya seva, bhagavata, by following the principles as taught in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, the next verse. Verse number 32. Gunadma kani triyani utadi prabhava guna manasava vikaratma buddhi vikyana rupini. Translation: the sense organs are attached to the modes of material nature. The modes of material nature are products of the false ego. The mind is subjected to all kinds of material experiences, happiness and distress. The intelligence is the feature of the mind's deliberation. Illusion by the material nature, the living entity identifies with false ego. More clearly, when the living entity is entrapped by the material body, he at once identifies with the bodily relationships, forgetting his own identity as spirit soul. The false ego associates with the different modes of material nature, and thus the senses become attached to the modes of material nature. Mind is instrument for feeling different material experiences, but intelligence is deliberative and can change everything for the better. The intelligent person therefore can attain salvation from the illusion of material existence by proper use of intelligence. The intelligent person can detect the awkward position of material existence and thus begin to inquire as to what it is, why it is subjected to different kinds of miseries, and how to get rid of all miseries. And thus, by good association, an advanced intelligent person can turn towards a better life, self-realization. It is advised, therefore, that an intelligent person associate with the great sages and saints who are on the path of salvation. By such association, one can receive instructions which are able to slacken the conditioned soul's attachment for matter, and thus the intelligent man gradually gets rid of the illusion of matter and false ego, is promoted to the real life of eternity and knowledge and bliss. The final verse, text 33, Itar Bhagavato Rupam Stulam Devya Ritam Maya Mahi Adibis Charavani Ashtabi Bhahi Afritam. Translation and purport. Thus, by all this, the external feature of the personality of Godhead is covered by gross forms such as those of the planets, which are explained to you by me. It's explained in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4. The separated material energy of the personality of Godhead is covered by 8 kinds of material coverings: earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All these are the emanations of the personality of Godhead as its external energy. These coverings are just like the coverings of clouds for the sun. The cloud is creation of the sun, yet it actually covers the eyes so that one cannot see the sun. The sun cannot be covered by the clouds. The cloud cannot at utmost extend a few hundreds of miles in the sky, but the sun is far greater than millions of miles. So a 100-mile covering is not competent to cover millions of miles. Therefore, one of the various energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot, of course, cover the Lord, but those coverings are created by Him to cover the eyes of the conditioned souls, want to lord it over the material nature. Actually, the conditioned souls are covered by the illusory creative cloud of matter, and the Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to their eyes. Because they have no eyes of transcendental vision, and because they cannot see the personality of Godhead, they therefore deny the existence of the Lord, the transcendental form of the Lord. The covering of the gigantic material feature is accepted by such man with the poor fund of knowledge, and how this is so explained in the following verse. So when I mentioned earlier on about the mind, how to control the mind, so Krishna does explain about how to control the mind. Wherever the mind wanders to its flickering nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Now, there's another verse somewhere. This is a beautiful verse. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So when you actually have the super soul situated within the heart, full intelligence, which can deliberate and ask questions, the mind determines exactly what to do. But that depends on our own personal desire, because we're actually conditioned by the different modes of material nature. So the mind knows, the heart, the intelligence knows exactly what's right and wrong, just like we know we've got to follow the highway code. We know we've got to stop at a red traffic light, but the mind is saying, "Oh, let me go past," because there's nobody there to go past. And then suddenly there's a police car who's hiding in the corner and tells you to stop because you went through a red traffic light. The mind can make certain choices in a life, but the intelligence is telling you what should be right and wrong. But at the same time, that intelligence has to be done in conjunction with an authority, as in one of the previous verses I mentioned, that you need the association of the spiritual master, guided representative who knows the absolute truth. Sometimes you may go to certain cults or certain advisors who tell you a certain thing, but they may not be the most informative information that you need. Could be completely opposite of what you want. And many of us probably gone through that as well, where you try to ask for advice but they give you different answers. So your intelligence tells you to distinguish what's right and wrong and not be covered by false ego. The false ego, the material nature, or rather the spiritual soul, influenced by the force of the false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities, but in actuality are carried out by the three modes of material nature. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So I think, I believe some devotee will be singing today. On Sunday, they usually sing. So thank you very much for listening to this class. Please forgive me for any mistakes that I've made, and feel free to leave any comments. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for a very nice class. Today we are having Mamta Mataji, who will be singing a very nice bhajan entitled Radhika Ashtakam. And dear Devika will be reading the English translation. So may I invite Devika, please, to read the English translation before Mamta Mataji sings the bhajan. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Her splendorous golden complexion steals the pride of a golden lotus flower, anointed with a tinge of red cuncum vermilion. Her sweet fragrance mocks the fame of aroma of a lotus flower sprinkled with saffron powder. She is fully qualified to fulfill all desires of the son of the king of the cowherd men. May Sri Radhika bestow upon me the service of her own lotus feet. Her amazing and colorful silken garments made the splendor of red coral feel ashamed. She is a garden of blossoming flowers where the Mandan bumblebee named Krishna performs amorous pastimes. She worships the sun god daily in order to attain the continual association of her beloved Krishna. May Sri Radhika bestow upon me the service of her lotus feet. Her charming youthful delicacy negates the fame of freshly sprouted leaves. Her refreshing form is worthy of being served by the cooling moon. Sandalwood paste, lotus flowers, and camphor. When she touches the master of the gopis, she dispels the burning heat of his lusty desires. May Sri Radhika bestow upon the service of her own lotus feet. Although the goddess Fortune, Lakshmi Devi, is adored by the youthful goddess, who are themselves glorified throughout the universe, still she is nowhere near Sri Radhika in the matter of her beauty, praiseworthy youthfulness, or other divine feminine appearances. There is no one in the material or the spiritual worlds that is superior to Radhika in the expression of naturally loving pastimes. May Sri Radhika bestow upon me the service of her lotus feet. She is very learned in many transcendental arts, such as performing in the rasa dance, singing, and joking. She is decorated with many divine qualities, such as loving nature, exquisite beauty, and wonderful garments and ornaments. Even among the cowherd damsels of Vraja, who are praised by the entire universe, she is the best in every way. May Sri Radhika bestow upon the service of her lotus feet. She possesses the opulences of eternal youthful beauty, eternal pastimes, and eternal love for Krishna. Her ecstatic feelings of Lord Krishna cause the gopis, who are all also in love with Krishna, to tremble. She is always attached to meditating on Sri Krishna's beautiful form, ornaments, garments, and pastimes. May Sri Radhika bestow upon me the service of her own lotus feet. She is grazed with aecastic symptoms, Satyavaki Bhava, such as trembling, perspiring, standing up on bodily hairs, tears, flattering of the voice, and so forth. She is adorned with different ecstatic emotional ornaments such as impatience, joy, comparison, and so forth. She is decorated with beautiful jewels that give total delight to the eyes of Krishna. May Sri Radhika bestow upon me the service of her own lotus feet. If she is apart from Krishna for even half a moment, she becomes stricken with wrecked suffering, restlessness, and a multitude of other ecstatic symptoms of separation. When she regains the association of Krishna, after some effort, then all of her anguish immediately vanishes. May Sri Radhika bestow upon me the service of her own lotus feet. It is very difficult for Parvati and other exact goddesses to attain with even a glimpse of Srimati Radharani, who is dear to Lord Krishna, but if sometimes glorifies her by reciting these 8 verses, then she who is delighted by Krishna's continuous association will grant the sweet nectar of her personal service to that person, who thereby enters the assembly of her similarly delighted girlfriends. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Devika. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances and glory to Srila Prabhupada. All the devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. This is Radhika Ashtakam, written by Krishnadasa Kaviraja in the book Govinda Leela Amrita. Please forgive me for my...
Shriji Mataji, could you just expand the text? That's okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Kumkumakta kanchanabja Kumkumakta kanchanabja garva hari gaurabha Pītanāncitābja gandha kirti nindi saurabha Kirti nindi saurabha Vallavesha sunu sarva Vallavesha sunu sarva vanchitartha sadhika Mayyamatma pada padma dasya dastu radhika Mayyamatma pada padma dasya dastu radhika Dasya dastu radhika Dasya dastu radhika Dasya dastu radhika Kauravinda kanti nindi Kauravinda kanti nindi chitrapatta shatika Krishna matta bringa keli phulla pushpa vatika Phulla pushpa vatika Krishna nitya sangamartha Krishna nitya sangamartha padma bandhu radhika Mayyamatma pada padma dasya dastu radhika Mayyamatma pada padma dasya dastu radhika Dasya dastu radhika Dasya dastu radhika Dasya dastu radhika Saukumarya shrishta palla सौकुमार्य सृष्ट पल्लवाली कीर्ति निग्रहा चंद्र चंदनोत्पलेन्दु सेव्य सीत विग्रह स्वाभिमर्श बल्लवीश कामतापबाधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका विश्ववन्द्य यौवताभी विश्ववन्द्य यौवताभिवन्दितापि या रमा रूपनव्य यौवनादि सम्पदान यत्समा सम्पदान यत्समा शीलहर्दलीलया च शीलहार्दलीलया च सायतोऽस्ति नाधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका रासलास्य गीत नर्मा रासलास्य गीत नर्म सत्कलालि पंडिता प्रेम रम्य रूप वेश सद्गुणालि मंडिता सद्गुणालि मंडिता विश्वनव्य गोपयोषे विश्वनव्य गोपयोषि दालितोऽपि याधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका नित्यनव्य रूप केली नित्यनव्य रूप केली कृष्ण भाव संपदा कृष्ण राग बंध गोप यौवतेषु कंपदा यौवतेषु कंपदा कृष्ण रूप वेश केली कृष्ण रूप वेश केली लग्न सत्समाधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका स्वेदकम्पकण्टकाश्रु स्वेदकम्पकण्टकाश्रु गद्गदादि सञ्चिता मर्षहर्ष वामतादि भावभूषणाञ्चिता भावभूषणाञ्चिता कृष्ण नेत्र तोषि रत्ना कृष्ण नेत्र तोषि रत्न मंडलालिताधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका मह्यमात्मपादपद्मदास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका दास्य दास्तु राधिका याक्षणार्थ कृष्ण विप्र याक्षणार्थ कृष्ण विप्रयोग संततोदिता नेक दैन्य चापलादि भाव वृंद मोदिता Bhav Vrinda Modita Yatna Labdha Krishna Sangha Yatna Labdha Krishna Sangha Nirgata Khiladika Mayyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika Mayyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika Dasya Dastu Radhika Dasya Dastu Radhika Ashtakena Yastvanena Ashtakena Yastvanena Nauti Krishna Vallabha Darshane Pisaila Jadi Yoshi Dali Durlabham Yoshi Dali Durlabham Krishna Sanga Nanditatma Krishna Sanga Nanditatma Dasya Situ Bhajanam Tam Karoti Nanditali Sanchaya Susajanam Mayyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika Dasya Dastu Radhika Dasya Dastu Radhika Mayyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika Mayyamatma Pada Padma Dasya Dastu Radhika Dasya Dastu Radhika Dasya Rastu Radhika Dasya Dastu Radhika Dasya Dastu Radhika Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dasya Dastu Radhika Dasya Dastu Radhika Dasya Dastu Radhika Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji, for a little bit of mistakes with the ragas.
Oh, thank you so much, Mamta Mataji. Do you
Thank you, Prabhuji.
want to show your video so everybody could give a 3 Haribos to you?
Okay.
I know you're very shy.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Haribol, so nice to see you again.
Haribol,
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 Haribol.
Very nice, Mamta Mataji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. I thought we should set off the mood for the appearance day of Radhika Rani.
No, it's very wonderful, wonderfully recited. It's a song that not many devotees sing, but my own, not my own, Special Master Bhakti Swami sings that song as well, so
Yes.
sweetly as well. So
I
thank you
think
so
its
much
tune
for,
is so difficult, actually. I thought I'll do that, but it's a bit difficult to learn.
yeah, no, I think that's it's a devotion. I wish I could sing anyway, but it's a devotion, but I don't have devotion or a voice,
Oh,
unfortunately.
no, Prabhuji.
Thank you so
No,
much,
thank you.
everyone.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank everyone for still staying on and listening to Mamta Mataji. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glory to Prabhupada. Mancha kalpa tarubhyascha,
Parivascha
kripa siddhibhya patitana pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo
Vaishnavebhyo
namo.
Namo Namaha.
Have a
Hare
wonderful
Krishna.
spiritual week and hopefully see
Krishna.
some of you for Shri Radhastami, the most auspicious day of the year, more specious than Shri Krishna Janmashtami.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna to everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much for the wonderful class today, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.